Welcome, everyone. We hope you all had an enjoyable and safe summer. This is our first virtual event before Rosh Hashanah, and what better way than to start with a cooking demonstration in preparation for the new year. We are excited to partner with Migdal Or, one of the charities of choice of Hampstead Garden Suburb Synagogue. Every 2 years, the shul chooses a UK-based charity as well as the Israel-based charity. And this year we are partnering with Jewish Child's Day in the UK and Migdal Or in Israel. Migdal Or is Israel's leading nationwide nonprofit educational network that has been providing an enlightening framework and life-changing essential programs and services to nearly 12,000 disadvantaged and orphaned Jewish children across Israel since 1972. Tonight, we have with us Amit Fraser, the Executive Director, who will tell us a little bit about the project that we're working on during these difficult times. Over to you, Amit.
Thank you very much, Rabbanit Batia, and I'm so excited to be with you all. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and I really hope that you're going to enjoy the cooking demo we organized for you for tonight. So just a little bit about the Chag Sameach campaign. As you can see, the Chag Sameach for Children campaign is basically an annual campaign that Migdal Or runs every year for the children and for families in Israel, families in need. This year, more than ever, we need your help. We're going to feed over 40,000 families in need in Israel, and we would be really grateful if you could help us. And thank you very much. And now over to Rabbanit Guten Tag. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you. So we're very excited this evening to have with us here, cooking for us and demoing Emma Spitzer. She's going to be our chef this evening. Emma was born and raised in Brighton. She's enjoyed cooking from a very young age, and she was the Master Chef runner-up in 2015. And since that, she's produced a best-selling cookbook called Fresh, which I think is a great name. And we're very, very excited that she is here with us tonight making some Rosh Hashanah delicacies. So over to you, Emma.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to have been asked to do this event tonight. Believe it or not, although I've had cameras in my face for MasterChef, it's actually my first live cook-along. So I have 4 kids and 3 pets, so bear with me if there's a little bit of chaos in the kitchen. But what I'm going to show for you tonight, and I'd love it if you cook along with me, we're going to do a very simple but foolproof honey cake recipe. We're going to do a sweet honey chicken with dates and sweet potato. It's my go-to Rosh Hashanah dish. And then to accompany that, we're going to do a really simple but very tasty vermicelli rice to go with it. The vermicelli just mixes it up a little bit, makes it a bit more exciting. So whilst we won't get to see the finished result of the cake that we actually demo now, I do have one I made earlier, in the words of Delia. So we're going to start with the ingredients for the honey cake to get those melted, because we don't want to scramble the eggs, so we need to let those cool a little bit. So grab your saucepan. First things first, you need a 20-centimeter cake tin, which you just need to line. So I've greased and lined mine with a disc of baking parchment at the bottom. Really important to make sure that you grease the tin really, really well. So the first thing we're going to do is pop in 225 grams. If you're making a meaty dish, then you need to use toma. Otherwise, you use unsalted butter. So we're going to pop in the margarine. And then to that, you're going to add 100 grams of dark brown or muscovado sugar. Pop that into the pan, and you're going to add 250 grams of runny honey. So we're going to grab our wooden spoon over here and then pop that all in there. And we're going to put this on the hob. We're going to melt it slowly. Once all of the ingredients have melted, we're going to turn up the heat and give it a really whisk bubble for just a minute. And then we turn it off and we leave it to cool. And that's a really important part, because if you add eggs into a hot mixture, they're just going to turn into scrambled eggs. So I'm just going to pop over here to the hob. And we're just going to sit that gently. And every now and then I'll go back to the hob and I'll give that a little stir. So I'll leave that there. So in the meantime, we're going to start with the chicken. The brilliant thing about this dish is that you can make it ahead of time. The other really good thing about it is it's super, super easy. And not only that, but it's just some really simple ingredients. The wow factor is in the sauce. So we're going to get our baking tray. I've got my oven at the moment preheating at 180 degrees, and that's fan. It's a higher temperature than I'd normally cook chicken, but we want to get this cooked nice and quickly. So take your chicken. You can use whole legs, or you can use the thigh and the drumstick. It's up to you, or just the thigh, whichever you prefer. So we're going to pop our chicken into the tray. And if you've had these recipes in advance and you're cooking along with me, you may have already prepped your shallots and your sweet potato, as I've done. So one of these per person. I mean, let's face it, you know, we like to eat well, so you can always be a bit more generous, but this is a nice amount. I've got 8 legs here. So the other ingredients are going to be nice and snug. So that's going to sit in the tray. And then I've got some sea salt. So we want to generously sprinkle over some sea salt. And chicken can take a really nice amount of salt. I mean, a kosher chicken is quite sort of salty anyway, but add a nice generous amount of sea salt. Sea salt is generally milder anyway than a normal kind of table salt or a kosher salt. So we're going to sprinkle that over there. And then I'm going to give my hands a wash, and we'll season it with pepper. Okay. So give this a really nice twist of black pepper across the top. And then what I've got here on my chopping board is I've got my potato, which I've cut into wedges, my shallots, and I've got some garlic, which I've peeled and I will crush into the sauce. And I've got some ginger, and then we've got some other aromats. So just tuck your sweet potato wedges around the chicken. This is sort of 3 small to medium-sized sweet potatoes. And I'm just going to check if you've got your cake ingredients there. So this is nice and melted. It's just got a little bit more to go. Just give that a little stir. This is multitasking at its best. So we're just going to pop all our sweet potato in. And you can do this on 2 trays as well, if you like. We're going to leave the dates to the side for now. We're not going to put those on yet. We're going to put the ingredients that take longer to cook. So I've got my peeled small shallots. I've left these whole. So we're going to dot those around the chicken as well. And again, as many as you can fit round. Okay, so we've got our tray. It's already looking quite nice over there. So now we are going to make the sauce. So this is really simple. I'm going to grab a dish. So before we make the sauce, I'm going to show you now that all the ingredients are pretty much melted. So if you can see in here, that's all melted. So I'm going to turn the heat up now, and I'm going to let it's going to bubble quite significantly. So turn the heat up to the very, very highest and let that come to a boil. And you're literally going to do that for 1 minute. And then we're going to switch it off and we're going to leave it to cool. So I'm going to keep a close eye on that, because once that bubbles, it can bubble over really quickly. So use a decent size saucepan so that you've got enough room for the liquid to expand. So here's my dish. So the first thing we're going to add is we're going to add some red wine, and you want 300 mils of red wine. So we're going to pour that into our mixing bowl. And then we want our balsamic vinegar. So this is now pretty much, looks almost a bit like honeycomb. I'm going to keep a close eye on that one. So we're going to do 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. These are a 2 tablespoon measure, this spoon. This is my favorite spoon. I call it my lucky spoon. So I've done 2 and still keeping an eye on my pan. So this is 4. And this is 6. So that's our soy sauce that's just gone in. And then we're going to do our honey. And I'm now going to turn this off. This has been about a minute. So we're going to turn off our mixture. Nice and bubbly. And I'm going to just literally put that to the side. And you want to leave that to cool until almost the end of this demo, because, as I said, I don't want my eggs to scramble. And you know what? We all learn from experience. So yes, I've been there and I've done it. So we're going to do 6 tablespoons of runny honey. Pop it in there. And it does make a generous amount of sauce, but the nice thing is the sauce goes really well with other things as well. So once you've served your chicken and you've got some leftover sauce, you can always reduce it down, but you can use it on other things. It's delicious. So we will set that over to the side. And then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar as well. A tablespoon measure. Okay. And then into that, I'm going to crush in my 3 quite fat, generous cloves of garlic. Put the rest in. You can start to smell the sauce already. It's delicious. There we go. I hope I'm not going too fast. I do everything at sort of 3 times the speed of most other people. So hopefully you're keeping up. And then I've got some ginger. Now, just a little tip. If you buy ginger and find it goes off really quickly because you don't get to use it all, put it in the freezer. You can either pre-peel it and put it in the freezer, and then you've always got a stock of it and you can just grate it from frozen. You can do the same with garlic and chilies, all of those sorts of aromats, which we don't always use the whole amount, and then they just sit and wilt and look very sad in the fridge. So this has come from my freezer. So I took it out a little bit earlier, so it's quite liquidy, but I'm just going to grate that in. And I love ginger. So this just gives the sauce a really nice kick. So we're going to pop that in. Okay, and that's all sitting on the underside, so we just give it a bash. And then that's gone into the sauce. And then we're going to add in some ground coriander. I also do toast all of my spices in advance. So I toast them and then I grind them. If you've got a spice grinder, even a coffee grinder will work as well. If you're lucky enough to have a Thermomix or a Vitamix or a NutriBullet or something like that, it's really nice to buy coriander seeds or cumin seeds whole, toast them off and then blitz them up, and then you've always got a stash of ground spices, but obviously shop bought are absolutely fine as well. Just check the shelf life on them because they do lose their flavor quite quickly. So I've got a tablespoon, and I'm going to be quite generous with this because I love ground coriander, So we put that in as well. And then we're going to season up the sauce as well. So we've already seasoned the chicken, but I'm going to put a little bit more sea salt in there, and some more black pepper. And then give that a good stir. And the honey will have gone right to the bottom, so just give it a good stir. And then give it a sniff, because ultimately you need to smell your sauce. And already that's nice and gingery. You've got the ground coriander. It's delicious. And then finally, I've got a couple of whole cinnamon sticks. So we're going to break those to release some of the flavor and pop those in. And pop those in. And then we are going to pour that over the chicken. So I'm going to move my tray out of the way over here. Go. And we're going to bring back our chicken. And then just pour all that over the top. So even nicer if you marinate earlier, it doesn't make any difference, but it's just, again, it's that prep ahead. And let's face it, when we're entertaining, whether it's Friday night dinner, whether it's high holidays, entertaining friends, whatever it is, it's kind of just so nice to know that you've got the bulk of your work done. And all you have to do is just stick it in the oven at the end. So all of this tonight, including the rice, can be made ahead and then just reheated later. Okay, so we've poured the sauce now over the chicken. And then we're going to cover that with some foil. And so what we're doing is we're going to steam the chicken. We're going to braise it. It's going to steam nicely underneath the foil. And then at the end, we take off the foil and we let it crisp up, and the sauce will reduce down a little bit and go a little bit sticky. So grab some foil. Okay. So that's nicely gone to bed. So I'm going to pop that in the oven, which is hiding nicely behind this banner. And as I said, that's 180 degrees fan. Okay. And that's our 30-minute timer. So I'm going to move all of that out. No, Alexa, I wasn't talking to you. But okay, Alexa will go off after 30 minutes. There we go. Right. So now we are going to move on to making the rice. Now, this is something that I do for a lot of dinner parties. I just think it spices up rice a little bit. I always get asked for the recipe. This is from my mother-in-law, who was born and raised in Israel, to her mother, who was from Algeria originally. And now that I do it this way, I can't really eat rice another way, unless I'm eating Asian food and I like it, you know, sticky rice. But it's just such a lovely way to make rice a little bit more exciting and a little bit more interesting. And I guarantee you'll have people asking you for the recipe. You may already do this. So in my sieve, I've got some short grain. This is just basmati rice. Now, it's really important with rice to wash it really, really well, because otherwise it goes quite starchy. So wash it really, really well. I've done this in advance. I've got 300 grams, so that's sitting in the side. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop in, because we're making chicken, we're going to use toma for this. So we're going to pop in a generous amount. I'm going to use about 40 grams, but that's what makes it so tasty. Isn't that right, of most food? So we're going to pop this on the hob and we're going to melt that. Now, in here, I've got some egg noodles. So you can use vermicelli, you can use just egg noodles. You can go to Turkish supermarkets and buy the little short ones. You can use the lokshen and crush it up. But the vermicelli is just a really nice addition. And we want to toast that. We're going to fry it off when the margarine is melted and get it sort of nice and golden and nutty. And then we will add the rest of our stuff in. Now, the other thing, I'm a huge fan of this, and if anybody does already have my book, and if they don't, you need to buy it. It's called Press, and it's very good. Lebanese spice mix. I do actually have a recipe in the book for how to make your own Lebanese spice mix, but you can find it in most main supermarkets, certainly some of the specialist grocers, like Middle Eastern grocers. It is really, it's just a beautiful flavor. I use it for chicken shawarma. I use it for roasting cauliflower. I use Lebanese spice a lot. It's cinnamony, it's clovey, it's peppery, really nice. And this is going to add all the flavor to the rice. So I've got my margarine in here that's melting. We're almost there with that. So what I'm going to do is throw in a generous handful or two. It's about 30 to 40 grams. And then this will burn really quickly. So you need to give it a really good stir. And just keep it moving on the heat. Do not leave the pan at this stage. Keep it moving on the heat. You'll see it will go from kind of nice and golden to brown really, really quickly. So you really want to have everything right next to you. You want to have your rice to hand. You want to have everything else. Now, the other thing I've got in this jug, always double the quantity of stock to rice. So you can do this with vegetable stock or chicken stock. I've got 600 mils of chicken stock in here. So we want that to hand as well. You want that nice and hot next to you. You want your rice, and you want your Lebanese spice mix and your salt and pepper. So I'm going to just keep that moving. And you kind of want to try and use a non-stick saucepan for this as well, because it's it'll stick quite quickly. As mine's doing a little bit. But just, yeah, keep it moving on the heat. That's already smelling really nice. Now, this chicken dish can be served with this, or it can be served with couscous. It can be served with maftoul, you know, with a nice sort of thick couscous. It doesn't really matter what you serve it with. But because it's got liquid, you want something that's going to absorb the sauce of that chicken. So in a second, I'll show you the sort of color that we're looking to achieve. We're almost there. It's going to turn quickly. Turn that down a little bit. And it's also important to mention you obviously want a tight-fitting lid on the saucepan as well. So we are there. So even though if I take it off the hook, so you'll see here that it's gone a nice sort of toasty golden brown, and that's going to continue cooking. So don't let it get too dark before you take it off. So now we're ready. We're going to turn the heat down, right down to the lowest. We're going to throw in the rice and let the rice absorb all the margarine and the vermicelli. And again, you can see how nice that looks already. That stir. And then once it's all coated, and don't forget you've got your heat on the lowest, we're going to throw in our Lebanese spice mix. Now, for the purposes of this cook along, we'll be a bit more precise than my usual chuck it in and see. We're going to put a teaspoon in. We're going to put a teaspoon and a half in, because I like this a lot. And then we're going to put another generous pinch of salt. Don't forget, if you're using a stock, it's going to have an element of salt in it anyway, so you can always add more at the end. I'm going to give a good generous twist of black pepper. And we're going to give that a nice stir and get all of those spices and seasoning coated into the rice and the vermicelli. If you've got gluten-free guests, or you can't eat wheat, that's fine. This is still going to work if it's just rice fried in butter or margarine. So you can leave the vermicelli out of it. Right, so that's all mixed in nicely. Look at the colour. That's a really lovely colour. And it smells really delicious as well. So now I'm going to pour in my stock. And the reason we turn the heat right down here is because the minute I put the stock in, if it was on a high heat, it would just completely explode. So I'm going to pour this in. Hear that sizzle. So that's automatically come to the boil straight away. So I'm just going to give that a good stir. And then we're going to put that on a low heat. We're going to cover it. And I'm going to say 11 to 12 minutes. And then what I do, I'm going to turn it up a little bit to bring it to the boil, is once the rice is finished cooking, turn it off and immediately put a tea towel on top of the rice and put the lid back on and let the tea towel absorb all the steam. And you want to leave that tea towel on the rice for a good 20 minutes. It'll stay hot. And again, that's what you can cook it earlier in ahead of people coming for dinner. So it stays nice and warm. But I never miss out that tea towel part because it's just nice when the rice is more dry. So I'm just going to bring that back up to the boil. And if you're cooking along with me, you're going to smell that that is just, oh, it's delicious. So I'm going to get my second pan ready. Okay, so I'm going to move that on to the next hob. Pop the lid on. Put that down. I'm going to check my timer on here. So I'll turn that down to 11 and then another 10 minutes on the chicken. Okay, so let's just put some of this stuff away over here. And I did say to the guys that I'm very happy to take questions because there'll be a moment where everything is just kind of doing its thing. So I'm very happy if people want to ask me any sort of questions. I can't guarantee I'll answer all of them, but I can do my very best. So I'm just going to get rid of some of the stuff over here. And then a nice little garnish on the chicken is some flaked almonds. So just in a small little frying pan, no oil, no butter, nothing necessary. You're just going to toast off your almonds. So pop in a few almonds in there. And then we can get our garnish ready as well. So we'll just put these in here. And again, when you're dry frying nuts, spices, anything like that, you really do need to make sure you don't move too far from the pan. So I'm going to put these over here. So in that space of time, we've got 2 dishes on the go. I've just realised in my speed that I have forgotten to put in my bay leaves into the chicken. And I've also forgotten to put in my fresh thyme. All these are from my garden. I am going to get the chicken back out and put them in because it's a really nice flavour, subtle flavour. You do want to use fresh thyme. So it was just glinting at me over there. So I'm going to take them back out. So I'm going to pop those in. So apologies for missing this step, but I've got, you only really need 2 bay leaves, but I've got 4 because that's what we pulled off the tree. So I'm going to tuck them in. I'm going to give my pan a shake. And then I'm just going to tuck in my dried thyme, fresh thyme, sorry. Pop that in there. And already that smells so good. So I'm going to put my foil back on. Double check I haven't forgotten anything else. No, I think we're good. So I'm going to take that back over here. Okay. Chicken back in. Check the nuts. They're all doing okay. We've got our cake mixture cooling, so we're going to come back to that in a minute. So I guess we've been going half an hour. We've got a whole tray of chicken in the oven. We've got our accompaniment on. Got half a cake done. These are simple dishes, but with a lot of flavour. Obviously, this year for Rosh Hashanah is going to be slightly different. We're not going to have a big old table that we would do every year, which I find really sad. And I'm sure there's many families that will find it sad that they can't all be together and enjoy, you know, what is one of the most celebratory Jewish holidays of the year. So I do find that rather sad. I'm sure you guys do too. But we can just do it over Zoom instead. So we're getting quite used to that now. But I don't know if anybody has any questions that they want to put up for me. I'll be able to see them along the screen, so I can try and answer away. Or I can just waffle on and, you know, fill in gaps of talking about completely nonsensical stuff. But yeah, so do ask away. I'm very happy to answer any questions. In terms of, I'm just trying to think of any of my great disasters in the kitchen other than scrambling eggs in cakes, burning almonds, that sort of thing, which obviously we've all done. I've certainly done many times. We're almost there. So you see, they're kind of going nice and nutty and golden. And again, do these ahead of time. So it's kind of like the mise en place in a restaurant where everything is done, everything's in little bowls, everything's prepared. It just makes your life a little bit easier, especially if you've got young kids running around the house under your feet, which is me. So I'm just going to get a little bowl and pop those in there. Spoon. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, so I can't see any questions coming up. I don't know if that's, I'm just going to have a look and see if everyone's being shy or if I'm missing something here. Let's have a look. Okay, so there's a few things. Let's have a look. Someone said, thanks, Emma, great session. Thank you very much. It's a shame I can't see everybody. It'd be really nice to see people. Okay, Tony, you should have, I think Amit was going to distribute the recipes. I think she's created some sort of PDF. So I'm sure, yeah, I've just seen a link pop up on the screen. So there's definitely access to the recipes tonight. So yeah, so I've got everything. I mean, you know, with my measurements, I think you've probably seen tonight, a lot of it, I think a lot of the time as cooks, unless it's baking, you know, we can do things as we like, salt and pepper, you know, take with a pinch of salt, excuse the pun. Yeah, I mean, with seasoning, spices, that sort of thing, just go with what you like. There's no spice, like heat spice in any of this that we've cooked tonight. But this Lebanese spice mix is something that I'm always really keen to sort of tell people about, because it's the magic ingredient in a lot of things that I cook. I've just seen my sister pop up. Who's your favorite sister? The other one. Thank you, Tamara, for watching from Israel. That's great. HGC, okay, Tut wants to know more about my experience on MasterChef. For anyone that didn't watch the show, I was robbed. For anyone that did watch the show, they'll know that Simon, who won, was the deserving winner. I think what I'm proud of is being the first Jewish contestant on MasterChef to showcase some of the flavors of both the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi. The Eastern European with the kind of the North African and Middle Eastern cuisine, and I think that's what they found really exciting. So I was really proud to sort of go on there and champion that type of food. It was a great experience. Who was my favorite judge? John probably was my favorite judge. But no, it was a great experience, and I think I hadn't quite expected to get as far as I did, so that was brilliant. What's my favorite recipe to cook? There is a recipe which, well, I eat a lot of chicken. I don't know what I'd do without chicken, so I do eat a lot of chicken, and I make it's in Fres actually. It's a Baharat chicken, which is very lemony and a lot of my favorite spices, and I again love the fact that I can marinate it 24 hours in advance, and I do make that, and I make it with the vermicelli rice as well, and it's, if I haven't cooked that for somebody before, they're blown away. So that's probably one of my favorite things to cook. And what is my favorite? Okay, my favorite brand of harissa is oh my god, I'm trying to oh, what are they called? I'm going to have a look because I've got it in my fridge. Providence Deli. I can't actually find my jar without pulling the whole thing out. Providence Deli. They're in all of the kosher aisles and in the supermarket. It's seriously spicy. It's really, really good. There are the other flavors, you know, the little can, I can't remember what it's called. And there's the Balazu harissa, which is also good. But Providence Deli, those guys are amazing. But you just need a smidgen of it because it's really, really potent. And what else do I need to tell you? I'm just having a look at the questions here. I should have put my glasses on really, but they would have steamed up by now. Okay, so yeah, so a little bit, because MasterChef is the one thing that people really want to know about. Yes, it's actually timed and the timings are real. Is the food cold? Yes, the food is completely stone cold when the judges try it. There's no disadvantage, by the way, to being the person to get tasted first because they're all completely cold. Right, so that beep is for our rice. So I'm going to take a clean tea towel. I'm going to turn off the rice. What I will do first take a fork, never a spoon, and just put your fork in and give it a little try. It needs a little bit of bite, not too much, just a little bit of bite, because it will carry on cooking. But I'm going to give that 1 more minute. I've got quite a lot of rice in there, so I'm going to give that 1 more minute. Actually, I'll give it 2 more minutes. I'll give it 2 more minutes. Okay. Yeah, so make sure you do the steaming part with the rice, because there's nothing worse than liquidy rice. And as I said, when you want to reheat it, you can either reheat it in a microwave, or you can put a tiny bit more water. If you're doing it really far in advance, put a tiny bit more water. So get a kind of the end of a wooden spoon and make a few little dents in the rice, add a tiny little bit of water, and then put it back on the hob on a very, very gentle heat. And that's all you need to do to reheat it. Or as I said, pop it in the microwave. But this works just as well if it's been cooked, you know, hours before. So that's nice and easy. So I'm just going to give that a couple more minutes. We're going to check our mixture. Our mixture still is quite hot. This is the it's a spoon for the honey cake mixture, which has been sitting on the side cooling. So once we take the foil off the chicken, we can then come back to our cake and finish off. It's a shame I won't get to show you the finished dish of the chicken, but what I can do is I can show you the picture in the book. So that's basically what it'll look like. You want to get it nice and crispy at the end, nice and sticky and delicious. So I hope you guys are going to make this for Rosh Hashanah. I'm going to get rid of that. And that's the book, Fres. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about Fres, because it means a lot to me, this book. I think one of the things, you know, when you are, you know, one of the importance of being, let's say, oh, 1 second. Okay. Right, so now I'm going to turn off my rice. It had 2 minutes extra. So we're just going to take that off, take the lid off, pop the cloth over the top, stick the lid back on. And I'm just going to leave that 20 minutes or so. 10 minutes is also fine, but it just takes all the steam, as I said, and it'll make the rice really nice. So yeah, with the book, and again, one thing I learned from MasterChef is that the importance of preserving our you know, our previous generations' recipes, because so often you know, we turn to our parents or our grandparents and we ask them, how did they cook this? And we might watch them in the kitchen, but if we weren't fortunate enough to watch them in the kitchen because they died before we were able to do that, it's about legacy. And for me, you know, my mum used to cook really lovely food for us, and it was a mixture of dishes that she had inherited, a lot of which, you know, dishes she didn't really learn to cook properly until she was married. But you know, food evokes a lot of nostalgia for many people. It's what when we think of our childhood, and particularly in Jewish households, it's usually, you know, stories from around the tables, either on the high holidays or Friday night dinners. And so for me, the most important thing was a way of preserving and keeping the recipes, certainly the ones I created for MasterChef, which were amalgamations of dishes that my mum had cooked or influences from my mother-in-law. And I have 4 daughters. So for me, the book was as much about a legacy for them as it was, you know, a means to showcase, you know, showcase my recipes. So it was a real labor of love, and it really is designed for the home cook. It's designed for the cook who maybe isn't so confident in the kitchen, or maybe is confident in the kitchen, but you know, I'm not a trained chef. Food, this side of my life is very much come from MasterChef, the platform that MasterChef gave me. I'm a home cook who's very enthusiastic about cooking, less so after lockdown. It's all simple food with a lot of flavour, and Ottolenghi has been a huge influence on me, as I'm sure he's been for many. You know, the Evelyn Rose. I mean, you know, there's a lot of nostalgia in my food. I've got Polish ancestry, and so I wanted to put some real kind of Polish flavours in there, and the influences from my mother-in-law, who, as I said, is Israeli, and had a big influence on my food as well. So yeah, I'm hugely proud of Fress, and there aren't enough, well, there are more and more now really good kind of young modern Jewish cooks. I put myself in the young category. I'm not sure if I should do that, but yeah, I think it's exciting that Jewish food, certainly in the last sort of 5 years, has had a moment. And again, you know, that's definitely thanks to Mr. Yotam Ottolenghi. But yeah, so that's kind of where I am. And so these dishes are in my book. But what I'm going to do, the chicken is almost done, and I'm waffling on now a little bit. So I'm going to bring back the honey cake mixture. Now, what I'd say to you is, if you're not doing this, just keep it kind of cooling as long as you possibly can. Again, have your ingredients kind of ready to go. I've got 300 grams of self-raising flour in here. I haven't yet sifted it, so I'll sift it once I've added the eggs. And then I've got 3 room temperature eggs. With baking, it's always quite good to have your eggs room temperature as opposed to fridge cold. So do take them out. You might keep your eggs out already, but take your eggs out earlier. And then put your eggs into a bowl. We're using 3 large eggs. And I'm going to add them gradually. I'm going to whisk the eggs in. I'm going to grab my whisk over here. Now, I'm not going to do it tonight, but Nigella does a wonderful butterscotch sauce that she accompanies with her honey cake. And again, I guess the butterscotch sauce you would need to adapt with margarine if you're making a meaty dish, but honey cake and butterscotch sauce is just amazing. So I certainly advocate that. So I'm just going to whisk up the eggs. And we're going to work quite quickly, as I said, because there's still heat in that honey cake mixture. So we're going to work quite quickly here. So I'm going to pour that in and just whisk it in. And then as soon as that's gone in and the egg is incorporated, we're going to over our flour. So as I said, 300 grams. And again, you'll get the recipe for this. I think there was a link earlier. So just pour in, sieve in. You can pre-sieve, obviously. Thank you, Alexa. Stop. So that's telling me the chicken needs to come out of the oven. Alexa, stop. Sorry if everybody else's Alexas are now going off in the house. Right. And now we're just going to whisk in the flour. You can use a wooden spoon or a whisk. I like to whisk. And this is a dense cake, so it doesn't matter about giving it a good beating. I just love the smell of that. Okay, and that's pretty much it. That's our mixture done. Just to say to those guys, I know there is a few watching from Israel. I hope it's not too unbearable. over there at the moment with the lockdown. So I've got another question. Would you do another veg side with the dishes? Yeah, definitely. Simmers are really nice if you're doing this for Rosh Hashanah. Green beans. Another recipe actually in Fres that I do is green beans with caramelized onions. There's a recipe for toasted cauliflower with couscous, and I have a recipe in there for caramelized onions. I always make a batch of that in advance, and it's a really nice way to jazz up vegetables. So boil some green beans until they're just al dente. Add a little bit of lemon juice and olive oil, and then toss through some caramelized onions and serve with some flaked almonds. And that's really nice as well to serve with this dish. This goes with anything, to be honest with you. Okay. Right, so I'm going to move that to the side. And then we're literally just going to pour that into our cake tin. And this is where you want to use a spatula to get all of the mixture. And I have to say, one of my favorite things about baking is the raw cake mixture, which I know some people might find terrible, but for me, that is the best part of any cake, is the batter before it's gone into the oven. I'll spare you my Nigella style licking the spoon. So, right, I'm going to move that away before I get tempted. So that will set aside. It needs a 140 fan oven, so lower than the chicken. So I'm basically just going to move that to the side for a minute. And then what we're going to do before we finish off is just take out the chicken, which is smelling amazing. So at this point, we're just adding the dates. That's all we're doing. We're going to take off the foil. We're going to let the chicken crisp up. It's had 30 minutes of partially cooking. So I'm going to make sure that you can see this last bit. So hopefully you can see that okay. So that's been braising. You can see it's partially cooked, and the sweet potato are starting to soften a bit. And then we're going to add in some dates. And you can add in this, I usually say about 12 to serve 4 people. If you love dates, add more. Pick them first. The best dates to use are generally the medjool dates. But any are fine. And then pop those in. And then sadly, we won't have time to do the finished version at the end, but this is going to go back into the oven. I'm going to give it about another half an hour to crisp up, and then that will be done. So just to finish off before I have to hand over to the other guys, here's one I made earlier. This is foolproof, very, very easy honey cake, obviously the staple of any Rosh Hashanah cooking. And I just want to say that I was, as I said, very privileged to be asked to do this and to get involved. And this is going to be a different year for many people, and I hope that people stay safe and stay healthy and socially distanced. And yeah, Shana Tova to everybody. I guess if there's any questions that you want to ask, these can be forwarded from Amit. But I want to say thank you very, very much for tuning in and watching me, and I really hope you enjoy the recipes. And yeah, Shana Tova.
Thank you, Emma. Always lovely to have some new ideas and some delicious looking ideas for Rosh Hashanah. And we have got tonight two very special guests. You might remember Yaeli and Mindy as little toddlers on the beamer, and now they're grown-up mothers with their own children making their own yontif. So we wanted to share with you about Rosh Hashanah and the preparation and the cooking and baking for the girls, meant to them, and how it impacts you as mothers today. So as you can see, the custom for Rosh Hashanah is to have round chalot to symbolize the circle of life and the circle of the year. And so I've always done my chalot like this, not plaited. But
it's a shame you can't smell what it smells like in this room at the moment.
Yes. But yeah, Ellie's done a one-up.
Well, I thought I would take it up a notch, because what's the point in tradition if we can't add to it? And so as the next generation, I thought, what can I do to out-colour my mother? No, I'm joking. So last year, we decided to make a round challah with a circle in the middle so that we could put a ramekin of honey into it, and that helps with the spillages and the passing out. This year, I have taken it even further. So here, as you can see, is a little individual colour. You see the streusel topping on it. And to save everyone the hassle of when Dad has to dollop honey on it and everyone's fingers get messy, each person is going to have, I think this is genius, I have to share it, their own little pipette of honey, which gets inserted there, and everyone gets to do it by themselves.
Nothing is a better feeling than your child outdoing yourself, myself. Well done. Well, it makes me excited to see how enthusiastic they are and how they feel about it and how they're excited to put the effort into yontif and to making it really special. I mean, what are your memories of yontif? What do you remember about preparing for yontif and your childhood growing up?
Well, it's quite unique to have had the pastoral role, is that the right word? And we grew up with our father, obviously, being the husband, so everything around, especially the high holy days, the weren't high because of how organised they were, but they could have been high, so Mum had to be really organised, and she used to set the table sometimes even 3 or 4 days before Yom Tov. And Erev Yom Tov used to be the calmest day of the year in our house. It was the most relaxing day of the year, so much so that now, as a married woman, I call my mum on Erev Yom Tov all confused, like, why have I not sat down the whole day? How did you do it? And you had 5 of us and a busy house, and I've just got a small family and I can't manage. So really well done, Mum, because now I know what it's like.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. But we have very happy memories. Times and with the music and burning cakes and making beautiful memories. And
we used to come home from school. Sorry to interrupt. We used to come home from school, and there used to be the smell of Rosh Hashanah when it was Rosh Hashanah, because we could smell Mum's fig chicken. We could smell the pomegranate brisket in the oven, and we used to come running. All the different soups, and we could never open the pressure cooker to see what was inside without Mum catching us. And we used to be in the kitchen cooking together with the music playing
till 2 in the morning sometimes. And one year you actually did a request box where we all could put in what our favourite dish for Yom Tov was that Mum could cook.
The requests are always open, and as long as you come back home, it makes us so happy. But we know and the customs are so important and imbue in us so many memories. But really, what is our message for Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah isn't really only about the apple and honey and all the strudels and the pomegranates. Sorry, darling, it's not. There's so much more about Rosh Hashanah, and really the significance of Rosh Hashanah is far deeper than the foods that we eat. Mindy, would you like to tell us a little bit about the significance of Rosh Hashanah?
So Rosh Hashanah, it marks the So it really can be used as an opportunity to reflect on what's happened to you the past year, and also maybe how you've acted towards others of the past year, and use it as a time to reflect on the past year in order to make the next year even better. So especially with all that's gone on this year, it's a very easy year to reflect on, and we all know what we're asking for this year, to all be together singing with Dad.
Definitely. And we might think that the most important part is the food part, but actually the mitzvah of the day is the shofar. Yes. Yes, hearing the shofar is the mitzvah of the day. So our wish to you, amidst all the delicacies and all the love put into it, and all the preparation and all the precious family time having your darlings and your loved ones together, is a healthy year. Make your Rosh Hashanah into something special. Whether you're in shul or if you're not in shul, take your maksa, sing those tunes out to yourself, and make sure to pour out your heart for a really, really wonderful, healthy, good year ahead. Oh, no. I'm going to pass you on now to Rebbetzin Gutentag, to Malki and her girls.
Hi, that was really nice. Emma, thank you, and Rochela and family. That was really, really nice. Thank you. Here we've got Honey and Abigail, that's right. And we're very, very excited. So we're talking here tonight about Rosh Hashanah and the food. All right, Abigail, you like to set the table nicely? Yes? There's loads of stuff, right. And you're going to make more stuff in school? You've done something in school?
We're in the middle of it.
In the middle of it. Oh, I can't wait to see it. It's a surprise. Oh, okay, very nice. We've got the shofar blower here. We've got our different kinds of honey. We've got honey with rum, especially for Rabbi Ephraim. We've got the personalized honey dishes and the other honey dishes, the shofar. And this is a special plate where you put all the simonim on it. It's really nice. So that's very exciting. So Abigail, do you have a favorite food that you like from Rosh Hashanah or Holy Yom Tov?
I really like the Shabbos even.
You like the Shabbos?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like the cholent and the sukkah and chicken feet and salami and stuff like that.
Oh, yum. That sounds really, really delicious. And what about you, Fanny?
Favorite is olives, that's not Shabbos food.
Oh, I eat at the Shabbos meal, olives. They're very nice. I know you never see, Fanny's always with a book and with a bowl of olives. You don't see her without it, right? There we go. Is that true? No, that's very true. And everything that we do in Judaism is packed with meaning. And even the honey that we use to make all these sweet delicacies for Rosh Hashanah. So, Abigail, why do we have honey? Did you learn?
Because honey is very sweet.
That's right. We want a sweet New Year. That's very good. And there's also a deeper reason for it. The honey. What do you know? What the Hebrew word is for honey? Davash. Very good. The Hebrew word is davash. And if we take the numerical value, I won't ask my girls now how to work that out because it's late at night. We won't ask them for maths questions. Is 306. Well done. Chloe's just worked that out. I promise I didn't tell her this in advance. 306. Very, very good. And the word Abarachamim, which means compassionate Father, meaning God in heaven is compassionate, is also the numerical value of 306, which just shows us and it reminds us, especially at this time, that it's not just the praying that we do, not just when we pray, but all the time we can invoke God's mercy on us, you know, so that just reminds us, and obviously we want to have a sweet New Year. So we wish you a very, very sweet New Year, Hashanah Tova. Yeah, what do you want to wish the community? Hashanah Tova.
Hashanah Tova.
And so we say bye, and now it's over to the Friedmans.
Shana Tova. And so we have here very patient girls, been waiting here so nicely. It's very late here, and we're so excited to be here, joining you to wish you Shana Tova. Right? What do you like? This is Liv. What's your name?
Liv.
Liv, right? Liv, what's your favorite part of Rosh Hashanah?
Dipping the apple in the honey.
Dipping the apple in the honey. Why? Why do we dip the apple in the honey?
Because it has
A sweet new year. Ah, that's right. And you learned a special song for that?
Yeah.
Can you sing it for us?
Yeah.
Go for it.
We love Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah. So much fun. We dip the apple in the honey. It's so much fun to eat.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a poem more than a song, but that sounds more beautiful. It is a beautiful song. Right. And Ella Bracha, you're up next, right? What's your favorite part?
The Rosh Hashanah Seder.
The Rosh, you mean the Pesach Seder?
No.
The Pesach? Tu B'Shvat Seder? Rosh Hashanah. What's a Rosh Hashanah Seder? Oh, wow. We even have a Rosh Hashanah Seder plate. Wow. What do we have here? We have a rimon, an apple and honey, a fish head, a dates.
Ew, a fish head.
A fish head. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we have beets and leeks and gourds and all these, and black-eyed peas. What's your favorite part of the Seder?
It's a pomegranate.
The pomegranate. The pomegranate seeds. Why? Why do we eat pomegranate seed?
Because it reminds us about the mitzvah.
About all the mitzvahs. They say that if you count the pomegranates, we'll challenge you tonight for Erev Rosh Hashanah. 613, right? Around that time to be blessed with so many good things and have all the mitzvahs that we do for the year. And Jamie Anna, almost bat mitzvah. What does Rosh Hashanah mean to you?
The round challahs.
The round challahs. Oh, we saw the beautiful round challahs about the freilich. They kept putting it up a notch. What do you do special? What do we do special for our challahs that you guys love so much?
We put cinnamon in them.
Oh, we add a little cinnamon, right? And why do we do it round? Do you know why we do it round?
Because it represents Hashem's crown.
Ah, that's right. He's the king.
And
The cycle of life. The circle. No.
It represents it's a circle that and the circle has no ends to it.
Continues
So,
on.
And it represents our wish for the blessings, for our blessings to be ongoing.
That's right. Amen, right? Because as we enter the new year, we are going to shul, God willing, and if we stay at home, we're davening, we're praying for all the different blessings that it continues on, right? And Jar Joey, what do you like about Rosh Hashanah?
That we use a lamb's head.
A lamb's head. We didn't have a lamb's head here. It said a fish head. Okay, so why do we have a fish head? You know why we have the fish head?
Yeah, to have a head.
The head, because we're the head of the new year, right, Liv? We're the head of the new year. And we tried one year, we tried actually the ram's head. And the ram's head, how was that?
Good.
It was quite a sight on our Rosh Hashanah table, right? People were actually quite shocked. And discretion, viewers' discretion, that we actually, there was the whole eye and the head, and it was actually quite tasty, right? It was, what?
It's really real life.
It was like real life and the real head, and we really felt like it was
Yeah, it was really cool.
added Yontif special. And so, Emma mentioned that she had 4 daughters. Well, I actually have 5 daughters. One in New York, Millie, and I believe she will join us live from New York.
Hi. Oh, Sadak.
Oh, and Mommy, you're joining us as well. You're with Safta. You're with my mom. Thank you. That's so amazing. This is, I think, our first year that we won't be together for Rosh Hashanah, but it warms my heart that you will be with my mother and my parents and my siblings. So, Millie, what's your favorite part? We were just discussing the different parts of Rosh Hashanah. What is your memory? What's your, Something special for Rosh Hashanah that you feel?
I love going to shul and having everybody singing together, all the tefillos.
Wow. Well, that's, that's are they opening up the shuls in New York? The shuls are open in New York?
Well, there is my uncle Yochanan has the shul in Staten Island. It's a smaller shul and everybody wears the masks, but I think here they actually allow singing. So I think we'll be able to have all the singing going on.
Oh, that's amazing. That's very special. And we hopefully will be in shul as well, with some singing in the outdoors, and hopefully we'll be indoors as well. And we look forward to it. It's really. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite too? Do you have a favorite davening? Which prayer is that you feel very connected to over Rosh Hashanah?
It's nothing in particular, just more the atmosphere of everybody singing all together and there being all this people, everybody in shul just together singing.
Right. Wonderful. And mom is
Hi.
Hi, mommy.
Hi, Batya, Yocheved. How are you?
Yeah, welcome to we had a cooking demo, and now we're talking about Rosh Hashanah. So, Mom, I know that you have a special tradition on Rosh Hashanah coming from the French Sephardi Algerian background. What's your favorite dish?
Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to make a megena.
La megena.
The megena, the famous megena.
So what is the megena?
Huh?
What is it?
What is the megena?
It's a meat and carrots. And we cook it with bay leaf and garlic and powder and beef stew. And then we put it with egg in the oven. It's like a cake. And it's delicious.
A meat kugel. And you know what? It's your favorite son-in-law's favorite dish.
And my only one, yes.
You only have one son-in-law, that's right, my dear husband, and it's his favorite dish of the year. And every Yom Tov comes around, he's like, "Are you going to make the megena?"
Okay.
I am just reminded as well, and we have the sweet carrots as well to remind us of one of the simanim. And that's what's really special about food. We talk about food so much around the holidays, and the different symbolic foods that we have. And it's not just about the symbolic message, because like Emma was saying, it's really about our life. Everything that we do, even when we eat, we make it special. We make it important. We recognize that that every part of our life, we need to ensure that we have meaning. And so even the food we eat, it's not just we remember our tradition. We have the tradition from our families, from our parents that they made, or our aunts and uncles, whatever it is. We have all the different types of food, but yet we have our traditional customs that go on for generations and generations. From all these, from the pomegranates that you mentioned, from the fish head, from the round collards. This is really a tradition that is global across the world. That we have these special traditions that we keep forever and ever. And that's what really keeps us as a Jewish nation. And so may we continue as we enter the new year. Our blessing to you all is that we step into the new year with happiness, with health, with tradition, together for a healthy and happy, sweet new year. Shana Tova. And now I would like to call everybody back on to screen to wish you all together a Shana Tova. Thank you very, very much for joining us, Emma and Amit.
Hey, Shana Tova to everybody in Israel and across the world who's watching us. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Shana Tova.